Inspiration, education, action. This is the Seeds to Success Show with Ben Godinez on Money 105.5.
Welcome back to the Seeds to Success Show. I am your host and Insurance 101 guy, Ben Godinez with Gateway Insurance Group. Take the if out of life and learn to live. That's right. It is brought to you in part by Gateway Insurance. So you need to give us a call. If you have insurance, you need to give us a call for that reason, because we will make sure that we protect your assets and save you money. What a concept. All right, we're talking about adversity is necessary, okay? I was in my Bible study last night, and we've had some really tough things go on of late. Very, very, unfathomable, tough things that have gone on. And, the question was brought up, is this punishment or is this discipline? And sometimes when we're going through the dark road, we think that it's punishment, right? We feel like we did something bad. What do we do to deserve this?
Right.
And
why me?
Yeah, why me?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That question is necessary to ask. As you're going through it, you usually don't always have a clear head about what is to come after that trial or that tribulation.
It's harder to see what's beyond when you're in the midst of the chaos and in the midst of
That's right.
the problem, the storm.
That's right. So now it's story time. Now I want to tell you my story.
Let's hear it.
Disclaimer, though, this is not a poor me, or this is not meant to, be a look at me story, because I really, honestly, I understand that most people don't care about, hearing somebody else talk about what's gone on in their life. The purpose of this is to relate to it and understand that we all go through it. And that God can do amazing things in the midst of trials and tribulations.
And sharing our stories brings great connection.
It absolutely does. I want you guys to know where I'm coming from, because most people just listen and they go, oh, well, he must have been doing this for his entire life. No, not the case. I got here through all the things that I'm about to tell you. So, there's always a reason for adversities in our lives. And if we look for them, it is discipline that strengthens us. One thing that I want to start this off with to preface it is that all discipline for the moment seems to not be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. And that's from Hebrews 12:11. So I came from a broken family. My parents were divorced when I was 5 or so. I was a product of a third marriage, by the way, an accident child. So my mom didn't know that she was going to have me, and I was a product of her honeymoon. So that took them by surprise. So you can imagine the mindset of I'm never going to have a kid, to, oh, now I've got to raise this dang thing. No, mother was super loving, super, super awesome. But as they divorced, that created a lot of tension between my mom and my dad. And so I formed who I became in elementary school. And then mom got the boyfriend, and that I hated, just didn't like. And I'm sure a lot of people have had broken families where they didn't like the other spouse. And most people would think, adults would think, oh, he doesn't like them because it's his mom's new man or his dad's new wife, right? And for that reason. No, I just really didn't like the guy. We lived in a pool house for about 2 or 3 years. It was converted to basically a studio apartment, a livable situation. But living in a pool house, going to school is not the coolest thing to bring friends over to. So that was a little unique for us. My mom's boyfriend wanted to fight me just about every day when I came home, punking me, get me in a little headlock and that kind of stuff, right. Until I was 18, and then he finally threw the first punch. But from 5 to 18, every day, imagine what that does to a young child,
right.
that thinks that he's the problem, and that gets undermined, not fun.
No, doesn't sound fun. Not at all.
So I grew up, and because that led into, kind of poor choices with friends. I started smoking and drinking when I was in 8th grade, going into freshman year of high school.
Lashing out, yeah.
Yeah.
Finding your own independence.
One of those kids, most people don't know that about me, because I had select friends that I did that with, and didn't let anybody else know.
Secret life.
Yep. Yep. As an 8th grade. Could you fathom a 13, 14-year-old? For me, being the age that I am now, I'm you don't even know anything about the world. How are you going to even make a choice like that? It's going to destroy
More
your
than
future
you know.
decisions. Yeah. So Jen. So I was that terrible kid, but loved my dad, loved hanging out with him. I started skateboarding, and he did everything for me. I was a big baseball kid. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. Did everything for me, but he was a loving alcoholic. So functional, but still come home almost every day and wasted.
Right.
So that created more lashing out, and that created more tension, of course, especially between
Absolutely.
him and my mom's boyfriend. Well, unfortunately, when I was 15, our house burned down, and he was caught inside with my dog. So that happened randomly. Got a call at 11 o'clock at night. And
That your father, this was your father.
yeah, my
Wow.
dad had been caught in the fire, essentially.
I'm so
I was
sorry.
left with just about everything of his assets that I had to, as a 15-year-old, give away to all of his friends and my half siblings, and be heir to everything. And I had to give away 3/4 of what was at that time mine, but I had to give it away because it was of course my siblings. So I had to be the what do you call it, the estate
Executor.
manager or whatever,
Right.
the executor, of his estate.
And how old are you? 15.
15.
Wow, young
So
to take on such responsibility.
yeah, and then be stuck with my mom, who at the time hated her, honestly, and with her boyfriend, wanting to fight me every day, didn't make things well for me. So of course, what do? Right? Why this happened to me? Poor me. Curse God, which I, by the way, never knew. Never went to church my entire life.
Life sucks.
This is going to be the reason why I don't succeed. Right? That was my reaction at the time. So I continued to smoke weed and drink.
You didn't see you didn't see a bright future ahead of yourself.
No,
Right.
absolutely not. So and my grades were below a 2.0, so I couldn't play football. So it became a crutch. It became, the reason for a short period of time why I was never going to succeed. This is what happened to me. I didn't know anybody else that lost a parent, in high school or anything prior to that.
Right.
So I was the only one. But then I had a bad experience when I was 16, smoking and drinking, that woke me up one day, and my mom gave me the biggest guilt trip of my entire life. And she said, okay, that's fine. You can make these poor choices, and I don't care. You can do whatever you want with your life. If you're going to learn anything, you're going to learn it yourself.
Wow.
So that slapped me in the face of reality. And so I started making better choices. I got a 3.0 the following year and 3.2 the next year, and started getting my grades up. I stopped smoking and drinking. So I got 3 jobs by the time I was 18. I was working full-time. I was working 37 hours a week and going to school full-time at Chabot College. So I made a decision at a young age to just, I don't know why, and it was because of how my mom kind of reacted, but I made a choice, and I said, this is not going to be the reason why I don't succeed. It's going to be the reason why I succeed.
Absolutely.
In spite of all that, it's going to make my story stronger. And I'm going to do this for him. I'm going to do this for my dad.
Your motivation. You found your motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So working those 3 jobs, I was going to school for film, hence why I'm now in broadcasting here, because I ran the production studio at Chabot, which was fun. And then I ended up working for Vector Marketing at 19, and that's what drew me into personal development and realizing my full potential. Selling Cutco knives. I did it for the first summer. I was like number 3 in the region. Moved into assistant manager the next summer. Still sold knives. Continued to win awards. And then the third year, I opened up a branch office in Marin County. They all along the way training you how to do this. So I was 21. Opened up a branch. This isn't like a turnkey franchise. This is okay. Go find your office. You got to pay for the lease. Negotiate the lease. Advertise, hire and train receptionists. Get phone lines set up. Get your internet set up.
It's a lot more than a lot of 21-year-olds out there.
Yeah. Well, this was in Lewin College. This was my college because I
Right.
essentially dropped out of college, if you want to call it that. I was going, 2 classes a semester or whatever. And I did it. I was super successful at it. I won awards, and it was great. I made money. But then I realized after that, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't think I want to sell knives for the rest of my life, although it's a great opportunity. I was helping other people live their opportunities and not my own. And then I go from all these awards and accolades to extreme poverty. So about 6 months after I closed my branch to open up a window, I was going to continue to open up another bigger office, spent all my money, all my savings, and live back with my mom. I go back home. My mom had been unemployed for about 6 years during this time. No electricity, no heat, no warm water,
On her own. Just
no food, no electricity. So all but homeless. Thank God my grandmother was paying for our mortgage. My mom just didn't have a job. And she was making poor life choices at the time with her new boyfriend. And so I adopted that. I came into that and went, oh, wow, this is, I couldn't support her and myself because I wasn't making any money. I was in training for this new branch that would potentially open. I remember one month I made $150.
Wow.
Okay. I went from making as a 21-year-old, I think my biggest check in a month was like 10 grand or something, great, to now I made $150 in a month. Imagine living already paycheck to paycheck and then having that, right? So that was tough. And I remember I stole a newspaper from the neighbors to make a fire to stay warm. And my buddy Corey comes over to my house. We were going to go skate. And he's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, what is your life? What are you doing with your life? And I was like, I don't know, man. I really don't have like a direction, but I'm sure that something will work out. So he finally approached me and said, dude, why don't you come meet some of my friends? Why don't you come meet some of my friends here at church? Well, he didn't say church, but that's where it was. And I want to introduce you to my new girlfriend. What are you doing on Sunday night? So I said, or Saturday night. And I said, I've got a photo shoot. I was doing photography for fashion shows and whatnot. And so I was like, yeah, fat chance. By the way, it's my birthday on that Saturday. So I'm like, it's my birthday. I'm doing a photo shoot, hanging out with models afterwards, not going to church on Sunday. Somehow, some way, he convinced me. And I wrote
what
a list.
What a good friend he is.
Right? And I wrote a list of about 50 different questions that I was going to stump the pastor on. I was going to stump him. Be like, you have no idea what I'm going through right now. You have no idea. God does not exist if I'm going through what I'm going through right now. That was my heart. And sure enough, I came prepared with those questions to stump the pastor, and I was the one that was stumped. I had all these logical questions. How do you know the Bible hasn't changed? How do you know that it's legit? How do you know that it wasn't forged? Or how old are the documents? How can you prove that? And all these typical secular things that you think that they haven't thought of that. You think that they haven't researched that. You think that the church doesn't have those answers. So yeah, and I was stumped. So all my questions were answered. Not to say that I became a believer at the time, but I shut up. And shortly thereafter, my life started to take form in a direction of success. I started praying, and the good things started to happen to me and other people. And I got a job with Liberty Mutual and insurance that paid me a nice salary with benefits and 401k. And I met this very attractive woman who later stole my heart and is now my wife. All these things started happening after I gave my life to God, after all of those things had happened to me. And not to say that it didn't come without struggles, but
would you say that you found somewhat of an inner peace through that, through your belief? Absolutely.
That was the thing that calmed my heart out of all the adversity that I had overcome and gone throughout my life. But some other very difficult things had happened, but I was able to go through them, and not have any wayward thinking of where was I going to go or what's my life purpose, or taking my own life in my own hands, because unfortunately that happens. People have no hope, and so they take their life in their hands and they end it. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, had crossed my mind during all these trials. My mom got thrown in Santa Rita because of her poor life choices at the time and people that she was associating with. That was very difficult for me.
I couldn't imagine that.
And having to go there and visit her and support her and still say that I'm her son. Family members passing away prematurely by accidents, and then eventually getting into a fight with my mom's boyfriend. All these things happen. And again, the question that we're raising here is this punishment or is this discipline? Are you looking to grow stronger, or are you looking for a sob story? That's what I had to question in my mind was, is this going to make me stronger, or is this going to be the reason why I won't succeed? And it goes back to when my father passed away, and I made that decision, and I said, you know what, this is going to be the reason I succeed. I'm going to persist through this. And with God as my witness and God by my side, I can get through it. I'll leave you with this before we go to commercial break. Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And that's my favorite life verse. That's on my chain that I wear every day around my neck. James 1:2-4. This isn't my story, guys. This is everyone's story. Everyone's got a story.
I think there are a lot of parts to that story that at one point or another, a lot of people can relate to. So thank you very much for sharing that, Ben.
Yeah, most of us come from crazy families, but that's what families are, right? So coming up, don't distance yourself for the dream you. We'll be back here on the Seeds to Success show. Stay with us.